Welcome, everybody. Games Week is finally behind us, and we as a crew have our own awards to dish out. Plus, the new episode of the Marvel hit series Loki just came out, and we have our impressions. That and much more on a brand new episode of Podcast Demastered. Welcome. This is episode 3 of Podcast Demastered, and I'm your host as always, Ethan Meyer, and I'm joined with my two very good friends, Chelsea and Wade. And guys, we are finally out of the marathon of games conferences. It's quite the busy week and also quite the underwhelming week. So able to cap that off with the Nintendo Direct. Not sure that was the best closer, but I don't know. Wade, what do you think?
Oh, with the Nintendo Direct, I feel like there were a lot of good things. They were just kind of quiet, small good things. But there wasn't really anything that blew me personally out of the water. But I know I have a lot of friends who were excited about a lot of the more smaller announcements. Like specifically the Advance Wars remakes. The second I saw that get announced, I could kind of feel the internet swelling with excitement.
I feel like that's kind of been in the background of the internet for a while, people wanting Advance Wars remakes.
Yeah, people have wanted that for a long, long time. It's a great game back on the Game Boy Advance.
Right.
And that was the only and last time it's been seen. Outside of like Smash Brothers cameos and stuff like that. But
yeah.
People are excited about that, and I'm excited that people are excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never personally played the Advance Wars. I do like that style of game, like that tactics game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's been more spiritual successors to Advance Wars than actual Advance Wars, because it was like not too long ago that game Wargroove came out on the Switch, and now I think it's on everything. But I think it debuted on the Switch, and that was basically just Advance Wars, I think it had like cute characters. I think there was like one of the characters was like a dog that drove a tank. So, but that was essentially, the same game. So, I was actually surprised that Nintendo decided to remake from the ground up, not just re-release.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually not Nintendo's style to completely rebuild an old IP. They usually just repackage it as is. So that was kind of, smaller surprise, but a surprise nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm one of 7 billion people who wish that Nintendo would just take their Game Boy Advance lineup and shove it on the Switch as a virtual console thing.
Yeah.
But, Nintendo needs money, so.
Oh, do they? Do they really? Do they? I feel like they're fine. Everyone's buying Amiibo. I'm sure they, they're set on that.
Right.
What do you think about the Smash character reveal? Didn't they start the show off with that?
They did. And you see, the first thing you really see in the trailer is like a dead Ganondorf. And of course, people are like, "Oh my God, this is it! They're starting with Breath of the Wild."
Yeah.
No, it's actually dead Ganondorf getting tossed off a cliff, amongst other characters.
Which leads to the best memes that I've seen.
Oh, they've
of
been
just
great.
That character throwing anything and everything off a cliff.
Oh yeah, it's been great.
I feel like the meme that we got from the announcement's better than the actual announcement.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of the characters that have come with this specific fighter pass, they've gotten a lot of good memes out of the announcements.
Yeah.
With the Sephiroth announcement.
Oh yeah, the Sephiroth one is great.
So, people are excited about the character, or they enjoy the memes thereafter. Either or works.
Were you excited about the character? It's basically just, it's from Tekken, right?
Yeah. I guess so. A new character is always exciting. I don't play much Tekken, so yeah. I don't really have like a dog in the race. But I was slightly underwhelmed, or really any time we get a new character who is a character from another fighting game, those are always kind of chill releases for me. Just because I'm used to seeing those characters in fighting games, so they're just in another fighting game.
Yeah, it's not much. It's not. There's not really any. It's not like when they put the Wii Fit trainer or something outlandish into Smash.
Like completely original, like made from the ground up kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just taking a fighting character and then putting him in a fighting game. It's not really the most. It's just like, yep, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes too much sense.
I know people are excited for him to be in it, and that's great. But I'll wait and see who the last person is, and maybe hope for a third fighter pass too. But we'll see.
Yeah. So what else? What else was from the direct that kind of caught your gaze?
Well, another like big but kind of quiet thing that I don't think people are giving quite as much credit to is the new Metroid reveal, Metroid Dread. The first Metroid-style Metroid game. And what did they say, like 19 years or something like that?
Yeah.
I know it's not Metroid Prime 4. They gave an update saying it's still in development, but people will get to play Metroid Dread in the meantime, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, didn't they say that Metroid Dread actually completes the story arc from the original, like when Metroid first came out? Like, did they say it?
Something like that. I know that the end of the last Metroid
like
game was it Metroid 4, I think. Yeah, gave a nod to this coming up. It talked about like Project Dread.
Yeah.
And now that's finally happening. So fans of the game I know are pretty excited to see the the end of that.
Yeah, and I mean Metroid kind of, I don't want to say is divisive or has like a split fan base, but there's definitely your camp that likes the 2D style, and then there's the camp that likes the primes, the first person style, and there's not really too much crossover. Like everyone's kind of set in which one they prefer. So
yes, absolutely.
The idea of getting Metroid Dread and hopefully Prime 4 in the future kind of will be able to speak to both sides of that camp. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll probably still be a little bit before Metroid Prime 4 comes out, but
yeah, I mean they'll probably restart development at least twice.
Well, who knows? Sometimes.
Gosh. The thing that stood out to me as like kind of like a random, I don't know, it's not really like necessarily like a new game announcement or anything, but that Game & Watch, like they did the same thing with Mario's Anniversary, where they packed in a Mario game on the Game & Watch, which is cool for collectors. It's definitely a kind of a tchotchke thing, but doing it again for Zelda and packing in, the original Zelda, Zelda 2, and then Link's Awakening, and also pricing at $50, like that actually surprised me. The price more than the package, like $50, you get 3 Zelda games on a cute little handheld. Like that's cool for collectors. It's also cool for people that haven't played those OG games and want to play it in kind of, that like that handheld, almost like Game Boy-esque kind of style. So
for sure.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I was still a little bummed that that's about all they had to say about the Zelda Anniversary.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a fan who's like, "Oh, it's the anniversary, so we're getting like 16 games and 10 movies and all this stuff." But I feel like the Zelda Anniversary so far has been very lackluster. Not even to compare it to the Mario one. But
you would think for an IP that is basically, number 2 within the Nintendo pantheon, they would have a bigger anniversary celebration for them. But
for real.
Just basically reserving Skyward Sword with with the ability to play without motion controls, and then getting this Game & Watch, like that's the definition of lackluster.
Yeah. So. Well, like the Skyward Sword game, it being $60, and then if you want the amiibo on top of it, like that's another $25. Yeah. Good God.
That's the kind of stuff that doesn't surprise me about Nintendo. It's like, hey, you want this old game that no one really likes? Well, pay the same price for, It's not like it's $30 or even $40. It's $60.
Like the Twilight Princess one was 40, I think, and if you got the amiibo with it, it was like just a total 60. Like it came in one package.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what the price was. And maybe just because it's a Switch game, it has to be 60, or maybe they feel that Skyward Sword has more pull than it does. I would say Twilight Princess has more pull, but that's just me.
Yeah, Twilight Princess or Wind Waker for sure would have done better being repackaged for the Switch than Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword is like the black sheep of like mainline Zelda.
Yes.
Maybe Doug Bowser hasn't had that meeting yet. So, I don't know. Chelsea, have you played any of the I know you don't have a Switch, so this direct is right over the top of your head in terms of I give a shit. So
I did watch it though. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. But like, do you have any affinity for any of these like older Zeldas that you wish would have had like any sort of like repackaging?
Honestly, I've never played any of them, so I really don't have anything to say about it.
My heart.
Okay, well.
I'm sorry.
Just go get a 3DS, play Ocarina of Time, and you're fine.
That's
just
true.
Do that.
Okay.
That's true, because the 3DS has Ocarina, has Majora. You know.
Yeah, like 2DS is like $80. Ocarina of Time is like $20. Boom.
Or you could try and like go to a Goodwill and find the Wii U and play Wind Waker and you know.
So just get all the older systems and play them all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people will probably just hand you a Wii U. Be like, please take this.
I mean, I have the Legend Edition Wii U that came with Wind Waker.
That's so the one I got too.
You can borrow mine. So
yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That's like my my taboo thing that I do is I never keep an outdated console. As soon as the new one comes out, I immediately sell it. Like, I'm not a collector. I don't have any of the old things just sitting around. I immediately, like, I don't deem it like unworthy, but you know, I'm poor. I need the money. You know. So.
See, I just don't like getting things that I've paid for with money. That's how I am.
That's fair. Like most people I talk to that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I feel bad, or I not really feel bad, but I regret getting rid of some of my older systems, and I wish I had them now.
Oh
but,
yeah. Believe me, 100% regret exists, but like I always have like that time of like, man, I really wish I still had my Wii, or I really wish I still had my Sega Genesis, or my 64, or you know what, this, that, and the other. But then I also think I'm really glad I don't have all this shit just sitting on a shelf collecting dust. You know?
True.
Like I don't have any sort of collector's mentality where I just like things posted up everywhere. Like if I'm not using it and it doesn't serve a purpose anymore, then you're gone.
It must be nice.
Get whatever money I can out of you. Put it towards new things.
I'm all about the feelings. I need my stuff.
Yeah, I don't have feelings anymore.
That's true. That's true. These are facts. It is known.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I guess you know, the thing we kind of been tiptoeing around with the direct is the Breath of the Wild 2. I don't even know what to call it. It's not an announcement because we know it's a thing, but it also wasn't like a reveal. I guess a tease, or Breath of the Wild, another tease.
Yeah, just need more data.
Yeah, right.
Like what they showed, I thought what they showed was fine because anything's better than nothing, I guess. Because it was gameplay. It's not like it was a CGI trailer and then see ya. But I felt like with the gameplay that they showed, like you can see that the game tends to take place, I guess, above Hyrule.
Yeah, I noticed that myself.
And they're like, well, here's the new powers you get, which are kind of like super crazy upgraded ones of the previous powers. And then that's it.
Yeah.
You have Link with his flowing blonde locks now, I guess. And right. Zelda falling off a cliff. I don't know. But need more. I need more.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that you and I were talking earlier about how I don't know if it would have been better if we didn't get any of that footage, but we got the actual title and a release date, or it would have been better to not get the title and release date and just get like more gameplay. You know, I feel like both are kind of they wouldn't satisfy either way. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a no-win situation for them.
Well, hopefully it's out by the spring, so we don't have too long to wait. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, if they do the, the original Breath of the Wild route, it'll release in March. Hopefully with the new Super Switch.
Super Switch.
The Super Switch. I'm telling you, it's a huge missed opportunity if they don't.
Waiting for the Super Switch 2 myself.
Yeah.
Super Switch Blue? I don't know.
Super Switch Rose.
Super Switch God Super Switch.
Exactly. Yes.
No.
Once again, it's all come back to Dragon Ball.
Yeah, no.
Every time. We will find a way. Forcibly.
You guys will.
And Chelsea's like, damn it.
Yep.
Anyway.
I feel like this whole segment, Chelsea's like, damn it. She's like, I don't care.
Okay,
about
but like I said,
Nintendo.
I did it. No, I mean, I used to have Nintendo products, but I got rid of them all.
Yeah, exactly. See, you're on my side now.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I saw in the Direct is that they did say that new Guardians of the Galaxy game was going to be on Switch, but then they kind of quietly were like, oh, but it's the Cloud Edition.
Yeah.
Now,
So
talk about that. What's that mean?
So the Cloud Edition means that you have to stream that game. And I don't know if this is a Switch, like a Nintendo mandate, or if it's by publisher. But when they did it with Control, you got to download like a demo and play a little bit of the game to make sure that your internet could even like functionally play it before you actually made the purchase. Mm-hmm. Like you couldn't flat out buy the game. Like before you bought the game, it like made you download like a playable version just to test to make sure that it could, which I thought was kind of smart because it kind of covers their tracks for people just buying the game, like, hey, my internet's not good enough to play this. So
yeah, like play through like a little demo-y kind of thing that at the end presents you with an option to continue to buy if specs are good enough or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of doing like an internet, like a speed test.
Yeah.
So from everything that I've heard from people, even with like gigabit internet, like it was still not a great way to experience those games, especially since a lot of these cloud versions aren't exclusives. Mm-hmm. It seems like why would you even play it on your Switch if you can get it on an Xbox or a PlayStation or PC?
Yeah, I mean, like I'll probably get Guardians of the Galaxy on my PlayStation 5. But I thought when I saw them announce it, like during the thing, I was like, well, that's really cool. I didn't expect this to come to the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that too when I was like, wow, this is gonna run on the Switch, and then they're like cloud. I was like, oh, never mind, it won't.
I'll have to go look into that because that's interesting. Have they done that with many other games?
They did it with Control. They did it with Hitman 3. And I feel like there's a few others, but those are like the two like big ones that I know about. But as far as I can tell, like it's been around for a while, because I think they had Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it was only in Japan.
That's weird.
Yeah,
are you talking about specifically all for the Switch?
Yeah, for their like cloud, like their streaming versions.
Huh.
So I feel like now they're trying to introduce it more stateside with some of these cloud versions, but it was out for a while, but it was only in Japan. Probably, I don't know if I guess Japan has better infrastructure. I don't know. America needs to get their shit together with our internet infrastructure.
That's a truth.
The whole middle of the country is essentially a dead zone for fiber and stuff like that. So it's not, the idea of like streaming exclusively is not something that's like super not a big selling point around here. So
it's true.
But yeah, other than that, was there anything else I don't know. I can't really. I saw that they were gonna. Speaking of Dragon Ball, they were putting that Kakarot game on the Switch. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. And
Did
I
you
love.
play?
No, I haven't. I haven't played Kakarot yet. But
Yeah.
that's only because when it comes to Dragon Ball games, I'd prefer to just wait until they're extremely cheap. Like they
Yeah.
go on sale and they're super cheap. I haven't bought a face value Dragon Ball game in years and years and years.
I don't think I ever have.
So again, the fact that they're putting Kakarot on the Switch, super cool. They're putting the first DLC with it, probably a good idea to match the selling point.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'll just wait and get it on PS4 when it's even cheaper than it is now. So
Yeah, I'll wait for that to be a plus game or
that
something.
that too. It could be
know?
a thing.
I'll
Could
wait
be a
never.
Wait, never.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's a good bet too, because mostly the Dragon Ball Z games are not good. Yeah, so, Xenoverse and Kakarot, you know, that kind of game hasn't really always done super well with fans or critics. The fighters games usually do better, like Budokai. I remember they had like 3 of those.
Oh, the original Budokai games.
Yeah.
Man, give me like an HD remaster of those. I'll pay $60 for that. I
Yeah.
freaking love those games.
Like I feel like Dragon Ball is more of a fighter game than a like open world RPG kind of. It's the same problem that the idea of making a Superman game, you know. You can't have like these super overpowered characters that can fly, you know, across the world in seconds or whatever, and design a game world to function for that. You know, it just doesn't work. It becomes, they did it with Kakarot, and like one of the biggest complaints is that the game world is basically empty. You know, there's like nothing to do. You just fly around and there's no one. And it's just like, what the fuck am I even playing this game for? So yeah, I don't know. Is that pretty much wrap up E3 and you know everything? Like Capcom had their show, but we don't have to talk about that because I feel like they didn't have to talk about it. So
Yep. Put them with Square Enix. You don't, just because you can have a showcase doesn't mean you have to.
yeah. I feel like all that stuff could have just been paired with someone else.
Yep. I mean, Monster
just-
Hunter fans, you got some cool update things. Happy for you all. But, you know, everything
Yeah.
else, meh. Meh.
Yeah, I agree. All those there were more underwhelming shows and unnecessary shows than there were like standouts or showstoppers for sure this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know, kind of expected that coming out of COVID. You know, I knew it'd be a slower year. But,
Yeah. Everybody's
I'm
working hard just to present what they had. So, you know, it's fine.
right. But I'm just in the camp also where it's just like, you don't have to put on a show. Like, we'll understand.
Right.
You know? If you don't have anything to talk about, then just don't fucking be there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're announcing, like, oh yeah, we got an E3 show, there's like certain expectations that coincide with that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've been talking a lot about Nintendo. Chelsea, I'm sorry. So,
I'm awake now.
yeah, right. Welcome back.
Ready to move
Welcome
on.
back.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and transition into our week in review, and we can start with you, and you can tell us what you've been up to.
Well, I haven't played any games, but I've watched a couple of things this
Okay,
week.
well that was a good week in review. Next.
Hey, no. So I did mention, I think it was in the first episode, about how Sony Pictures was releasing another movie on Netflix, and I did watch it. I did watch Wish Dragon.
Oh yeah, I remember that
And-
title.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's definitely more of a kids animated movie. It was okay-ish. It's basically Aladdin, but kind of in modern day and in China. And instead of a genie, it's a dragon.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Was there any unique animation style that you were talking about with the other, like with the other two Sony?
With Mitchell's versus Machines,
Yeah.
no, I didn't really notice anything. It was just pretty traditional, just plain, like, basic animation. Like, I mean, the animation looked good, but it wasn't anything
No, it was
unique.
basic.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, it kind of was. Also, I'm not sure if it was just, like, because the people who were behind the film, like, I think Jackie Chan was actually a producer of this movie, but I just felt that some of it was just a little too, like, stereotypical, like, Asian, just, like, jokes and stuff about, like, an old man, weird old man, and stuff like that. And it's just...
A lot of tropes.
Yeah, a lot of tropes. And that was unfortunate, and I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or not, so I was a little... just... I disliked the movie a little bit more because of those tropes.
Well, I feel like I need to go watch this movie now.
Yeah.
You should. It's
You sold me on it.
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Top of the watch list.
Yeah. The other one I watched though was a lot better. It's Us Again. It's the Disney animated short that was that premiered before Raya and the Last Dragon, and they released it on Disney Plus. So I
nice.
watched that. That was a really good short, really, really well done. It's basically just about this couple, and they like dance throughout the whole short, and the choreography is amazing with the animation. It's just so smooth, and they did a really good job editing it. It's definitely worth a watch. It's only 6 minutes long.
Yeah, speaking of shorts, I was thinking about this the other day, because I occasionally will go through there and just like turn on some shorts in the background for Atlas. And it got me thinking that we should do a show about like ranking the shorts. Not ranking all of them, but maybe just doing like a Mount Rushmore.
Oh, Old Man Chats.
I think
number
that would
one.
be great.
Yeah, right?
Done.
That, folks, is called a tease.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, exactly. But yeah, there's so many good ones that I feel like we could easily do a segment on that.
Definitely. That would be great.
So is that it?
So
Just those no games.
That's it. No. Didn't have time.
No, I understand. This is... Wade and I were talking about this earlier. This has been kind of like an off week. I don't know if it's just because it's getting hotter, or we're just into like that, E3's over, so we're just kind of like exhausted from just gaming in general. That we needed a
All
break.
gamed out.
Yeah, gamed out, exactly. I feel like that was a thing this week. I had a game hangover, So.
Yeah.
Wade, what about you?
Oh, this week, I played a lot more 14. I've been doing some pretty heavy, like, end game grindy stuff.
Right.
But I did download the first Yakuza game, the remake on Xbox, and I'm 4 or 5 hours into that. And I've had
That's on Game Pass, right?
All of them are on Game Pass now.
All of them are on
All of
Game
them.
Pass. Man, that Game Pass is a real deal,
We are not sponsored by Game Pass.
Hey. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
We are accepting offers.
Yakuza is just it's very like basic street brawler kind of game.
Right.
With a story, of course, centered in 1990s, 2000s Japan. You play as a Yakuza agent who gets exiled for a crime, but that's just the beginning. Then the story is like what happens after that. I didn't know this, but the entire the dialogue is all in Japanese, which is fine. I love watching sub stuff. It's not really an issue. I just didn't know that. So when they started, I was like, oh, well, hello. I guess I better watch the cutscenes the correct way. But I've had a really good time. Some of it gets kind of ridiculous. Like some of the fighting gets really ridiculous, as in silly wise. But that kind of really adds to all the factors in play. And I've really enjoyed it so far, and I look forward to seeing what else is going on with it.
Do you feel like the gameplay or the story or both have hooked you more?
Ooh, both, I guess. I'm enjoying both the things. I don't like sigh when a cutscene starts, or sigh when I take back control and have to fight my way out of a building or anything like that. So, both are good so far.
God, I've always been that series has always kind of just like been in the back of my mind, and I've always been, I don't know, sort of skittish about starting it because of like the silliness of it, because that's kind of like it's what sets it apart from everything else. Is it is super over the top and super, you know, especially as that series goes on, it goes to some pretty goofy places.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I would find that stuff annoying or charming or so.
I'm being pretty charmed by it so far. So
yeah. So I definitely, I don't know. The more you talk about it, may sway me to actually jump into that series.
Over the course of the last week and a half, I've also watched Cruella and Raya the Last Dragon. Knocked both of those out this last week. If you haven't seen Raya, you should watch Raya. It was so good. The characters are great. The characterization of another princess. She's not just a princess, she's a badass ninja princess. Who don't need nobody. And and just, you don't really expect the ending as it was. But it was really good, and like the animation looks so, there's parts where you're like, whoa, that's like real, I swear to God. But I had a great time with that.
That seems like to be the theme for their new princesses in this like new era of Disney animation. Is like, because I haven't seen Raya, but I watched Moana, and then Frozen is kind of the same way, but it's just like these tough, you know, these badasses. It's just like, I don't need no prince. I don't even fall asleep and wait for some dude to kiss me and give me my happily ever after. I'm a badass. I can do whatever I want.
You know, they
I mean, females aren't one-dimensional. We have to really show them. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
They used to be.
They did. The Disney
I know,
princess,
but then they realized, oh, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, like they're getting away from that kind of stereotype with like Disney princesses.
They're like getting away from that by creating a new one.
Well, kind of, but like every time you get like
it's just more
a
different
one, it's like a different kind of person than the last.
I feel like a lot of it now is it's like focused on a new like culture, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Because like both Disney animation and Pixar here in at least, you know, past like 5 or so years, it's always focused on like a new culture, a new diversity, you know, and that used to never be a focal point.
Well, like so if you look at like the old Disney princess movies, those all take place in separate cultures as well, but they're all like white European cultures.
Yeah, it's like, well, this person's
so it's
British,
harder to tell.
but she's French, you know. So it's just
but then, kind of in the 90s, it kind of changes a little bit because we get, you know, I believe that's when Pocahontas, we have Aladdin with Jasmine and Mulan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they just keep getting more
you also
fleshed
had
out females.
That last one before they kind of took like a hiatus. What was The Princess and the Frog?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I love that movie. I think that's a very underrated movie that'll be talked about and probably in another future episode.
I feel like it's extremely underrated. I've only seen parts of it. They play that movie on repeat at my pediatrician, so like every time I go,
is awesome.
Yeah, I dig the whole vibe of it, the whole jazz, the New Orleans kind of backdrop. I thought all that was cool.
I like the voodoo magic. I loved the voodoo culture. Yeah.
I just need to sit down and watch it. It'll happen.
Well, and speaking of Disney women, I also watched Cruella, which I actually fell in love with.
Now, question.
Yes.
Did you go in with low expectations, and then you were pleasantly surprised on how it wasn't bad, or how did this play out?
When I go into things, I usually don't really go in with any expectations.
No,
I don't
so
like hype.
safe.
I don't like hype myself up, and I don't like trash it for weeks on end beforehand. You know, I just kind of like, I'm a wait and see person. That's just how I am. It helps me. Like if something does turn out to be bad, then I'm just like, oh well, you know, like let's dive into why it's bad. Let's make lots of jokes and have a good time, and let's move on. But then like I don't have hurt feelings for the next forever. You know.
I'm the exact opposite. I can't help but get
That's
hyped
true.
for certain things.
Yeah, I mean, I get excited for things, but if if something is bad, I don't like come crashing back down to earth and then just be angry at whatever for how it turned out.
I do. I had like an existential crisis when Rise of Skywalker ended. I remember that long walk from the auditorium to my car. I was like, does life even need to happen anymore? Like, this is what is everything? This is And then I like on the drive home I was like yelling at J.J. Abrams.
I could hear that.
I think I was silent after that, just lost in thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was a solid week of just like contemplation on that.
I mean,
so,
I'm not
I envy you,
that,
Wade.
I mean, I left that movie like afterwards going, why did they make a bunch of the decisions they made? I did do that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I'm not like going to be mad at whatever the next Star Wars movie is, you know. I'll just go back and watch The Last Jedi, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. I had to go home and cleanse myself and watch something good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I oh man. Especially with established properties or IPs that I love or characters that I love or anything like that, I can't help myself. My hype level just like runs rampant.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's so hard not to have. Yeah.
So I go in with super high expectations, and very seldom are they ever met. But they're also very seldom ever like, wow, that was horrendous, and I'm gonna bitch about it for a week.
Yeah.
So...
like Cruella was like such my cup of tea, you know, like it was a villain, and I know people are already like, well, they're turning the villain into an anti-villain, or they're doing this or that and the other to make her not as bad of a person, but I'm like, well, this is when she's like 20, and you know, we know Cruella when she's like an old lady, so and it's not like you don't watch Cruella and you're not like, how can this person become this? Like, you see it throughout the movie.
Right.
She's not a good person. She's out to get revenge for almost all of the movie. And just because she gets revenge against an even more awful person doesn't make her less awful.
Right.
And Emma Stone does a great job of tying all of that together and just carrying all that on her shoulders.
Right.
Like the pride that she has, the flamboyantness of this like kind of fashion designer feel, it works out so well, I feel, and I'm glad that they're making a second one.
That's cool. That's good to hear. I have zero expectations for that film, and I didn't really care to watch it when it was announced or when trailers started coming out or reviews started coming out, mainly because I never really found Cruella de Vil an interesting villain.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, you know, she's a fashion designer who wanted to kill a bunch of puppies for a coat.
Yeah, and I never even liked 101 Dalmatians. Like, that's kind of
same. Uh-huh.
So
yeah,
we're like, we're doing Cruella. I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, like the announcement of the movie, I was like, okay. And then the trailer of the movie, I was like, okay. But I do like Emma Stone a lot. So I had the option of watching it, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. And I'm really glad that I did, because it was a really good movie, I felt.
That's good.
Cool.
What about Chelsea? Are you going to watch it?
I'll probably watch it eventually. I am intrigued by it. I'm just trying
Intrigued.
Yes, I've heard some good things about it, and Wade clearly said he liked it. So
we actually watched it twice
everything.
in a row.
Twice in a row?
Yeah, like we finished it and we pressed
back
play
to back?
again. Yeah, because we went to play board games after that. After we watched the movie. So we just hit play again and watched it in the background while we were playing games.
Oh, I was getting ready to ask, how many drinks deep were you when you decided to hit play again?
0, actually. 0.
I thought the one thing that I saw that actually intrigued me has nothing to do with really the context of the story, but I saw that the costume designer came out in an interview and was talking about how they made 80 or 90 different outfits or whatever for just Emma Stone
I'd believe it.
for the film.
I'd
I was
believe
like,
it.
what the hell?
Well, she wears a whole bunch of stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
But I can, they probably had to create different variations for every single one of those outfits.
Yeah, I was like, that
yeah.
blows my mind. Like, I love stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily make me want to watch the film, but it's just like a cool little nugget, that it makes it a little bit more interesting. It's just like a creative endeavor, not necessarily something I want to sit down and watch. What I mean, is that put a bow on your week?
For my week, yes, it does.
Yeah. All right. Guess we'll move into mine. I didn't watch any. In fact, I haven't watched anything. I haven't watched any more Dragon Ball Super. Still in Goku Black. I know.
My goodness.
Well, it's because been spending a lot more time outside with Atlas, who's 1 or 1.5. He loves playing in the water, so we get a lot of outside time. So we haven't really been sitting inside watching TV as much anymore. And when we do, his new interest is watching The Wiggles. So
Have fun with that.
Yeah, right. So the storyline of Goku Black is gonna sit stagnant for right now.
Unfortunate.
I know. I'll finish it because it's really damn good. But yeah, during the day, which was like my prime watching time, has kind of disappeared before my eyes. So I was able to get some gaming in though. I rolled credits on Genesis Noir, which that game is really hard to talk about because I feel like I'm not at the intellectual capacity to talk about it. But that game left me with some feelings and some emotions. Like, I feel like it resonated with me on an emotional level, but I couldn't grasp it conceptually, if that makes sense. Like, I'm feeling things, and I don't necessarily know why I am. But that game is... First off, it's incredibly short. I think I put like 5 hours into it, like, at tops. And, yeah, it's on Game Pass. Go play it. I mean, if you have the ability, if you got 5 hours to spare, just someone needs to play that game. I feel like no one talks about it. It's an indie title. It's from a studio I've never heard of. It's got some rad just music in it, not just it's a noir game, so it kind of starts off with like those like jazzy undertones that most noir settings have. But by the time you get to the end of the game, like that game goes places I was not expecting. And yeah, it just kind of stuck with me. It's just really hard to, yeah. It's I still think about it.
Well,
honestly,
yeah, I understand what you mean though.
Like the last game that like left me kind of like thinking about it for like days was when I played Last of Us Part 2. Granted, those are totally different emotions. But like, yeah, I finished that game like on Monday or something like that, and here it is Sunday, and I'm just like, damn, that game is wild. I'm still trying to like piece it together because I feel like it's very interpretive. It's not necessarily just like a linear story A to B kind of thing, like super. Like, it has, like, simple constructs, but it has, like, a bigger overall kind of design that's kind of hard to parse out in words. I feel like it's just more of something you have to just, like, engage with visually, You
gotta do the thing to get the reward, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the reward is, it's such a cool payoff. It's so good. So good. And you don't have to spend 50 hours to get to it or whatever, it's like, honestly, if you have just like you could 5 hours, so you can knock it out in a day easily if you got time. But man, it was incredible. And then totally different game, I started Rage 2. It has nothing to do with how Genesis Noir left me feeling. I didn't, you know. I honestly I really like shooters. I really like, especially like id Software shooters. Like, I'm a big fan of Doom, big fan of like Wolfenstein. I've been a big fan of id Software since their inception. They kind of are like the grandfathers of the first-person shooters. So I've always have been intrigued by their games. This one's kind of interesting though because it's a collaboration of studios. It's id Software, but it's also Avalanche. And if you're not familiar with Avalanche, they're I think they're Swedish, but they're the studio behind all the Just Cause games. And they also did that Mad Max game a couple years back. And they're also the ones that announced at the Xbox Bethesda showcase that they were doing that game Contraband.
Oh, that game that didn't have any...
Yeah, the game that was literally just like the title. It's like, it's an open world co-op game. And that's like all it said. But it's that studio. And it's that engine. They have like the Apex engine. And Rage 2 also functions off that same engine. So that was another like kind of reason why I wanted to get in there and play with it, because id Tech, if you don't know, the id engine is like top shelf. It's really, really good. So I wanted to see what this Apex engine was all about, because if it's an id game that decided not to use id Tech, then this engine better be, better slap. You know what I mean? So, and I can say that it does and it doesn't. So from a particle effects and just like the gameplay, like the gun mechanics, the shooting, the explosions, all the action, and just like the world from a distance looks incredible. It's when you get up to like characters and you start kind of getting up close and like really inspecting things, everything starts to look a little muddy or like wax, like they're wax figures. And then like the facial animations are kind of very like Bethesda, like very like Skyrim. They're all kind of, I don't know, they're not bad, but they're also not a standout. They get better the further away you are from them.
Don't look too
yeah.
close.
Right. But Rage 2 also, it was a last-gen game. Contraband's going to be a next-gen title, so I'm sure that a lot of this stuff will get ironed out with better hardware. Because Rage 2 is also not optimized for new consoles, so you're still just running the base PS4 version or the base version of the game. Mm-hmm. In terms of just like the game itself, the story is fucking just bonkers. And I feel, it's definitely intentional just based on the game. Like the whole game, apocalyptic wasteland. There's a shadow group called the Authority that wants to basically cause genocide to rid the world of inferior species, basically humans, because the Authority are like these hybrid human cyborg things. Which actually, character design is pretty cool, because just like the grunts of the world and with the Authority are essentially just like, imagine a human that started to melt and then stopped halfway.
Awesome.
And then put like a mechanical backpack on them that has a gun on the top. And that's they don't have arms. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Character design's pretty cool for them, I gotta say. In fact, all the designs for all the different factions, there's like goons and mutants and, all kinds of different warring factions in the wasteland. The writing of the game is fucking dumb, borderline immature. So, like really bad. Like, how like, have you ever played Borderlands, where it's like kind of cringy, jokey, like internet humor, and it tries really hard to be like kind of like I don't know, like we're over the top for over the top's sake. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Rage 2 is basically the exact same. It has like that exact same writing, so it gets annoying, tedious after a while. So, but playing the game is so much fun that you just kind of skip all that shit. You know, it's just like, oh, people were talking, I'm gonna go get a drink, or I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and or skip this cutscene, or whatever. Like, the nuts and bolts of why of the world isn't really interesting, but like participating in those events in the world is super fun.
Yeah.
The gameplay is top notch. They got the best parts of id's background with the shooting and the gunplay, and then they got some of the best parts from Avalanche with their vehicles, because there's vehicles in the game, a lot of them actually, and the handling is perfect. Like, usually in these games where driving is secondary, vehicles usually handle like a bar of soap on like wet tile. The handling on the vehicles in this game have like some heft, some weight to them. You feel like you can kind of feel it when you're driving. It's really good. There's your character has different guns that have different abilities and different upgrades. Your vehicles are the same. They customize. They have different vehicle upgrades and whatnot. You get powers. It's definitely, the game is literally a power fantasy. Like, from the beginning, like opening credits, you're just like dropped in, all hell's breaking loose, and you just start busting heads. It's kind of a great way to start the game, because if it was the other way around, where it was like 15 minutes of exposition, that writing would have turned me off instantly. But just getting into the action of it kind of hooked me with just like how the game felt. It is an open world game. I don't know how long it is, but it does seem like it could overstay its welcome, because it doesn't look like there's, so far, I'm only, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours in, but so far every mission or side quest or anything is all kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, go here, kill these guys, report back. Go here, kill these guys, report back. Go here, kill these guys, report back. So I can see it getting, if the actual like accomplishing that objective wasn't so much fun, it'd be extremely tedious. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of variety in terms of what you're actually trying to accomplish, but it's fun accomplishing it, if that makes sense. So,
well, as long as you're having fun.
Yeah, so I'll stick with it, but it's definitely one of those dumb games, that is kind of, I guess, the perfect dessert to a Genesis Noir, which really kind of mind fucked me. So it's kind of nice that I can turn this on and literally turn my brain off. It's definitely popcorn fare,
Oh yeah.
This is the Michael Bay of video games right here.
Oh, good lord.
So, a lot of explosions.
Enough said there, huh?
Yeah, it's fun. It's dumb. I'll stick with it for now. I'm having a good time playing it, just because it is really fun to play, but not a whole lot of merit anywhere else. So, since all the game showcases are over and all the conferences are over, and we've had a chance to watch everything and soak it all in, we decided to kind of do our own little awards, the Demastered awards, we're calling them, for all the not just E3, but every conference, every showcase, everybody's involved. So I guess how we're gonna do this is I will read off the category, and then Chelsea, you can give us the runners up, and then you can announce the winner, and then as a whole we can all just kind of talk about why we thought that would be the why we think that game should win. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Let's start with biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise.
Okay. So our runner-ups included Elden Ring, Mario and Rabbids 2, and Guardians, yeah. And then the biggest surprise overall is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, actually, Guardians of the Galaxy was my runner-up, but as a whole, we decided that it was the legitimate biggest surprise because I guess I mean, did anyone see this coming? Was it? I didn't even know this game was rumored.
I don't think so. I think most people thought it was just another Deus Ex game because it was the developers of Deus Ex. And then they were like, surprise, Guardians of the Galaxy, and everybody was like, well, okay then.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And just like
when that announcement started, I was like, is this really what I think it is? Is this Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, exactly. And just like the game itself, I was not expecting it to be a single player, adventure game. Mm-hmm. Especially since, that studio still kind of is under the umbrella of Square Enix, and Square Enix is doing that Marvel's Avengers. I was kind of expecting some bastardized version of that for the Guardians.
I'm so glad they did not go in that direction.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And honestly, like, the game is, we're a week out basically from the reveal, and there's been some debate among people about if it's good or bad that you can only play as Star-Lord. But honestly, I'm kind of fine with it.
The fact that you can only play Star-Lord, it doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah. Because then if you start introducing the idea, it was like, oh, well, you should make all the characters playable. And you know what? You should make it where it's like a 4-player game. And then we're just basically doing the Avengers formula. And that shit doesn't work. Mm-hmm. I'm totally fine just playing as Star-Lord and having the companions be the companions, Because,
you still get to upgrade them and make decisions for them during battle and stuff. I think it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's like Mass Effect. You have all these amazing companions and characters. You don't actually play as them. They're just there. They're your support.
Yeah.
I think that's, I'm not a huge fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy or Star-Lord or, it's not like they're like upper echelon for me, but, the idea that they're making more single-player comic book games, like, yes, give me more. I hope this makes $1 billion and they keep making more games like this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we need more.
Yeah. My Captain America idea is still floating around out there.
It's amazing.
Somebody, please. I will sell you the idea.
Yes, please take it.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Best Showcase.
Okay. So we only had one runner-up, and that was the Tribeca Games Spotlight. And then the best showcase that wins that award is the Xbox Bethesda.
And honestly, they were neck and neck for me.
Mm-hmm.
Tribeca really, I think it was more just, I didn't know what Tribeca was going to be since it's brand new. So having no expectations for it, and then it totally delivered, is what kind of shot it up so high. And
yeah,
also
that does help.
They were, yeah, exactly. And there's also so many conferences that have expectations already built in, and they just didn't deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so used to watching E3 or a showcase, and your Square Enix and your Ubisoft and your Capcoms just come out swinging, and all those were flops this year.
Yeah, the bar wasn't terribly high, so finding a best showcase wasn't terribly difficult.
Yeah. And it kind of is, it's kind of amusing that you say that in this year, because yeah, you're right. This was kind of a off year. Most of the showcases were blah. And then you get one of the best Xbox showcases in a long time. Mm-hmm. And it's butted up again. You don't have anyone else. I still feel like that showcase would have been amazing even if you had your Sonys and everyone else coming in full strength. That showcase the Xbox One was that good. It had so many games, all different varieties, you know, really hammering Game Pass. Like, if people left E3 and still aren't on board with Game Pass, then I don't know what to, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what, like, that showcase should have sold you.
Yeah. You know, obviously I still don't have Game Pass yet, but no, I can totally respect that showcase, and it was well done, and it definitely deserves that top spot.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so cohesive. It was so well edited. Like, I don't know. It was top notch. And I feel like Xbox is very hit or miss and has been for a long time with their showcases. They either spend an hour talking about how you can plug your Dish network into your fucking console, or you know, or they have people pantomiming Kinect games. Like, they've had a lot of bad E3s, so it just sucks that one of their best ones came in a year where there wasn't anything to, you know, there wasn't any, like, Goliath didn't show up, you know. So you just got David out there flexing.
It's a good way to put it.
Right? You know?
Well, I think that, you know, watching the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, I really hope that the other major companies really look at Game Pass. And I hope they get something out of that, really. I know Sony has now, which I won't go any further with that because I think I know how everybody feels about that. But, like, if Nintendo could get it together and, like, take their virtual console to, like, the next stage, so they have something like Game Pass, I think that would be absolutely bonkers for Nintendo. Like, that would do them so much good.
Yeah, and it seems crazy to me that Nintendo is closer to having a somewhat of a, I don't want to say competitor because I don't like looking at it that way, but like an equivalent to Game Pass more so than Sony. Sony doesn't. It seems like they don't give a fuck. You know.
All Sony has to do is make it so that you can download the games and it's not $50, you know, or whatever. It's stupid price. That's all they have to do, really, to fix it. They won't for a long time.
They won't
probably.
Because they're still riding, you know, their coattails from last gen, because last gen was a huge fucking win for them. You know, Xbox stumbled hard out of the gate with all their, you know, we don't have to get into all their mistakes and bad messaging from last gen in the beginning, but I feel like Sony just has like this, I don't know, I don't want to go down some fucking console war path. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that that's a thing, but I do feel like Sony has like this hubris about them that they don't need it. And I feel like that's a mistake, and that's a mistake that they're going to learn by the end of the generation, that they should have had it.
Oh, for sure. No, yeah, you know, like, they have a lot of background, they have a lot of experience, but that doesn't mean that you stop learning.
Yeah, I feel like,
you know,
I feel like good companies always are looking forward and are always progressing, and the idea of being stagnant, even if you're successful, isn't a winning strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to Sony and Nintendo, that's also a very, like, Japanese.
Yeah, it's a Japanese
mindset.
business.
Now, it's an older mindset, but in Japan, the old people, they run all of the companies, and there's countless industries in that country who all suffer because people won't take the next step forward that they should have done 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they are businessmen and they look at the bottom line. And until that bottom line goes into the red, they don't seem there's no reason, they don't like risk. They're like insurance adjusters.
Yeah.
If risk is involved, they're not doing it. And Microsoft, being an American company, Americans are all about risk. We do all kinds of stupid shit. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense, but there's always that off chance that it works, you know? And Game Pass is one of those. I'm sure when whoever pitched that at whatever meeting, however long ago, I'm sure that was like, that seems fucking dumb. That seems crazy. There's no way this is gonna work. We're gonna lose so much money on this. And look at it now. Like, same with like Netflix. Does anyone remember Netflix when it first started, when it was literally just renting DVDs through the mail?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure do.
And then when they first started streaming, where there was like 20 titles and they were shit. It was like some like weird, it was like backlog of Nicolas Cage films, and you know what I mean? Like, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is dumb. This isn't gonna last." Well, look at them now. They spent like $60 billion or some nonsense funding all their new projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's Game Pass in 5 years. That revenue stream for Microsoft is going to be off the fucking charts if it's not already.
Time will tell.
Yeah. And I don't have any animosity towards Nintendo or Sony, but I just, as a gamer, I just feel like you're not helping the community by, it's very like kind of self-serving to not take these more like these evolutionary steps. It's very antiquated thinking, and I just don't like that.
Well, let's hope that they figure it out sometime soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Wade.
Yep.
Optimist.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, so let's move on to a next category, which will be most anticipated.
Okay. So our runner-ups included Battlefield 2042 and Breath of the Wild 2. And the most anticipated award goes to Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Bridge of Spirits. So excited.
So, and I was talking to Wade about this earlier in the week, where since Kena wasn't part of E3 proper, and it was only shown during Tribeca, is why I feel like more people aren't talking about this game. Because more people should be talking about this game.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have shown up during, any other showcase, if it was part of like Summer Game Fest, the Jeff Keighley project, I feel like it would have done gangbusters. But being such a small team, new IP, a bunch of really nobodies in the industry, it just is not getting its time in the sun yet. Hopefully when that game comes out, hopefully when that game comes out, it just blows people away and it actually gets people like, paying attention to it. Because all the scuttlebutt I was getting was like, I think like what was it, like the E3 like judges award for like most anticipated game or whatever was Forza Horizon 5.
Something like that, yeah.
Which, that game looks amazing. It almost looks photorealistic, but it's also the 5th iteration in a historic racing franchise.
Nothing super new.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. We spent a lot of time last episode talking about why Kena looks amazing, and it just continues to look amazing. So it definitely deserved most anticipated. Okay, let's move on to the next category, which is Best New IP.
Does anybody have a guess what it's going to be? Well, we'll do our runner-ups first. Our runner-ups include Elden Ring and 12 Minutes, and as we were just talking about, Bridge of Spirits wins that award.
It was unanimous between the three of us too.
It was,
which I thought was interesting. We all just like put in our nominees and runner-ups and everything, and the best new IP unanimously was Kena. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of new IP that was shown over the week, and I feel like even by the time I got to the end of the week, there's still some that I probably like forgot about in my mind palace, just because Kena took up so much space. It's just a showstopper. course, Elden Ring. Oh, God.
Yeah, not to say that nobody's excited about Elden Ring, because that would be farthest from the truth.
Yeah, because honestly, if you exist on the internet, I would say that's probably the most anticipated, or most, like, the best new IP, because, you know, From Software has a huge frothing fan base.
What a description.
And I think Elden Ring also might be the best chance for that developer to get more casuals in because of the open world nature of it.
I know
feel like,
I'll be trying it out, and I haven't played like Dark Souls or anything, so.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, exactly. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about how that game is something that they want to look into, whereas, you know, and they never really existed in that Soulsborne like fandom. You know, I feel like those games are very like, I don't want to say they're all the same, but they're all like the same kind of like linear action adventures, where the idea of doing a open world game. I did see, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that FromSoft came out and said that this game was going to be easier than their predecessors. I don't know what that really means, because those games are fucking hard.
That's fine with me.
So, I don't know. I just feel like this is going to open up that developer, that studio, to a broader audience, at least initially. You know, let's see how the game actually plays out. That studio in the modern era hasn't made a bad game yet.
Now,
so
is this only next gen? Elden Ring only next gen?
No. It's cross gen. I mean, hell, when it was announced 2 years ago, it was announced just for PS4 and Xbox One. So.
Yeah, I remember that. So
I feel like it was developed for this gen, or last gen, and it's probably just going to have optimizations for next gen.
Maybe.
Stuff. You know what I mean?
What are you going to play it on then?
Oh, I'm going to play it on my Series S.
Okay.
I almost never play anything on my PS4 anymore, because, like I've said before, I feel like that thing is going to explode soon. So
that's fair.
I feel he's got to be on his last leg. That poor guy.
Well, because
is struggling.
Chelsea, did you plan on getting Elden Ring?
I don't know. I'm kind of split. I'll keep an eye out on it, but I am intrigued. I'm just not all in.
What intrigues you? Because I'm curious. Because I know that I've been trying to get you to play Dark Souls for what feels like my entire life.
I don't know. I think just like I want to know more about it, and you guys keep talking about it, and Ethan, you're super excited about it, and I'm just like, I just want to know why we're really excited about it. What about this game besides the fact that it's, you know?
I mean, I'm excited about it because From Software is like one of my favorite developers. Like in this like current iteration, From Software has been around a long time. They made the like Steel Battalion. Like they've got some shit on their resume. You know, don't go too far back. You know.
Okay.
But when they came out with Demon Souls on the PS3, like that game kind of came out of nowhere, and it threw a lot of people off because of its difficulty curve. You know, that sort of game kind of died with the like the arcades and like the NES era of gaming, where you're kind of used to games being incredibly difficult, and then we kind of lost that. And From Software is kind of bringing that kind of mantra back of, no, this game is kind of, it's, I don't want to say punish you, because it's not like a nefarious thing, but it's very much, it tests your resolve. And it's very much like, if you finish one, you don't even have to finish a game. Just finishing like a battle with like finishing a boss fight in a Souls game or Bloodborne or something like that is like one of the. It's really hard to explain, but it's like one of the most gratifying sighs of relief, and just like you feel like a total badass, you know. It's like the ultimate power fantasy, where you actually feel like you accomplished something, as opposed to most games. You're almost like, it's like the developer expects you to get past it. It's like, yeah, come on, let's move along. This isn't that hard. Where when you finish something in like a Souls game or a Bloodborne or Sekiro, it's like you feel like you kind of cheated the developer a bit. You're like, yeah, I beat you. You can't hold me down. Like, and I think that's why it has such a rabid fan base, is because that feeling is, not commonplace in gaming anymore. That sense of satisfaction, of success. And that's why I love playing those games. Also, I do love the aesthetic. I think they're super inventive with their creature design. Like they're just nightmarish abominations, and it's just, oh my god, it's so cool.
I hope that Elden Ring adds a little bit more color. I don't need like super black toned down, because that's what like Dark Souls and stuff is for. I hope it adds a little bit more color, just a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Bloodborne may be like their most like kind of monochromatic game, because it is just set in like one town, and you never really, you go in like the sewers, you go in the this, that, and the other. The Souls games, the initial areas are kind of bleak and gray, a lot of grays, a lot of that. But there's some areas in those games that are downright gorgeous, even for how old they are. Like the original Dark Souls, they got some like, oh man, there's some really, really, and they are like different color palettes. It's just, they're buried in like the back half of the game that most people don't get there, because most people tap out.
I see.
Like go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say in general, I think the story just has to sell me. I'm just not sold on that yet. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's anything special.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right there, none of them are going to sell you on their story, except maybe Sekiro. Sekiro has the most actual story. There's cutscenes.
Sekiro has an actual narrative that it follows.
Yeah, there's a narrative.
Yeah.
Dark Souls and more Dark Souls than Bloodborne is very much just lore focused. Like, you have an objective of what you're trying to do, but it's incredibly opaque, and you have to kind of dig. And it's not necessarily just like, I'm the hero of this story and I have to go do this. It's, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, story is not why you play these games. Now, that's not to say that the universe isn't... The writing, the characters, and the lore, like just the world building itself is like superb. It's like top notch. It's some of the best stuff. You actually want to seek out more information, but the game itself isn't designed to deliver that information to you in cutscenes or, I got to this threshold, so here's an exposition dump. Like, that isn't prevalent in any of them.
Okay.
So if you are very much more story focused and you need that to like power through, you'll never play these or finish them.
Okay.
Like, these games are very much more like gameplay, like the mechanics and the skill involved to master those mechanics is what kind of powers you through everything. And I mean, and like I said, just diving deeper into the universe itself and the world that they build for you is interesting, but it's not so linear of narrative that you would expect. It's not like you're playing like an Uncharted or something,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But Elden Ring could be different. You had George R. Martin writing for it, so I don't know what capacity he's doing or how involved. He may have just come up with the title. I don't fucking know.
Guess we'll wait and see. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I would not try and pitch this game to somebody and be like, and the selling point being like, yeah, the story's incredible. It's more of like a feeling. There's like an emotional connection that you can have with these games that you're not going to get elsewhere.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Well,
So do we need to...
we have one last award, right?
Yes,
yeah,
we do.
The last one is best game.
Yep. So, our runner-ups included, surprise, surprise, Elden Ring, and we had 12 minutes. And best game is Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Woohoo!
Let's go.
Yeah,
August 24th, man.
It just blew everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is August.
Yep.
Dang.
Soon.
That's
It'll be here
quicker
before we know it.
Yeah, that's like 2 months. Right?
Yeah.
Wow, 2 months out.
Man, that's going to be like the first day of school. It could actually be the first day of school. That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I know what to do while I do my first day of school cry now.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
I can't believe...
We're going to keep talking about this game
We are.
until it comes out.
And even afterward.
Yep.
I can't believe it's 2 months out and there's still like very little fanfare.
Oh, we'll see. The state of play should be here at the end of the month or soon. And I'm sure they'll do a spotlight on it.
Yeah, you would think.
I mean, they did the
Because if that's
last
in August,
one, so...
Yeah, because if that's an August title, that's a good way to like start your like push for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a good strong. You know, you got like Kena in August, possibly something in September, and then you really get into heavy hitters. And like, isn't Horizon Forbidden West? That's November, right? Have they said? Seems like a November title.
Ooh, that's a good question, actually.
I don't know. I haven't seen
I didn't know if
date.
they may have just said holiday. But usually when people say holiday, they mean November. so
All it says is 2021. So
is there any
we'll
chance
see.
that game gets delayed?
Of course.
Oh, I think it's going to get delayed.
And anything,
Really?
anything has a chance to get delayed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, wait, Jesus Christ. God.
Dude,
no.
I do a lot of Square Enix games. I laugh.
Okay,
I
yeah.
laugh at the first 3 or 4 release dates that are said. So, my expectations
Yeah.
don't rise until like the 6th.
Yeah, I feel like you're desensitized at this point,
I
being
sure
a
am.
Square Enix fan. Being a Final Fantasy guy, you're like, whatever, release dates are meaningless.
And Kingdom Hearts.
And
We've
Kingdom
waited years.
Hearts. The crying
Wait
and the
another
screaming
20.
whenever that was delayed. Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
All 4 times.
All right, well, yeah, that wraps up our first ever Demastered Awards for what, I don't know, what do we call it? Games Week? We can't even call it E3 because there's so much other
Yeah.
than just
We'll
call it Games
we'll
Week.
have to do
Yeah.
a little addendum
Games
when
Week.
the state of play comes out.
No. There won't be anything good on it.
No.
You don't know that. Hey, man, they're going to do Final Fantasy 16 at that. So replace everything
So our
with
awards will be
Final
the
Fantasy
same.
16.
Right, yeah.
Don't be rude. Don't be rude.
Outvoted.
I guess it can't be new IP because it's not exactly a new IP, but you know, I can still be surprised at it.
Yeah, I mean, Sony doesn't get to be a part of the awards if they're not going to be a part of Games Week. So they don't just get to start their own shit and still get Demastered Awards. That's not how this works.
Oh, okay. I mean, they've been doing that for a while, but okay.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's why they're not a part of this.
They win all the other awards.
Yeah, exactly. They got the Game Awards. They win that shit every year. It's not even... They might as well just rename that the Sony Awards.
I just don't pay attention to the Game Awards. I watch it for like new announcements and stuff, but I ignore all the like actual awards that go on.
You know what's interesting about the Game Awards is, in terms of like ratings and viewership, it's trending like upwards, whereas the Oscars have been trending downwards. Like somebody put like a side by side, and it's just like they're going in opposite directions. Like the Oscars are like plummeting in terms of like people giving a shit. And like the Game Awards have like, I think it's like the last 3 years, like viewership has like doubled or sometimes tripled. I find that interesting because the Game Awards used to be like a joke, like no one watched. It's like whatever.
I mean, again, the awards themselves are still jokes, but they they partner with everybody now, so they get to like announce. They get to announce new games. Like there was a Smash character that was announced at the last Game Awards.
Yeah,
which
I'm
they
100%
super advertised.
Yeah. I'm with you. I guarantee that most viewership people tuning in are waiting for those announcements. I mean, there's precedent, like Rocksteady announced their game at the Game Awards. Like, there's always, like, some, like, big reveal. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's, it's not like the Oscars are having a trailer for the new whatever. I don't know.
Right. Isn't that another Jeffrey project? The Game Awards?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But I also feel like gamer fandom is also incredibly it's kind of like politics. Like everyone's just kind of set in their camp and they want to watch to prove the other camp wrong kind of thing.
It do be that way sometimes.
Yeah, so I feel like that's another reason why so many people tune in, where you don't really have that with movies. There isn't really like that toxicity that comes with movie fans.
Right.
Not that because there isn't you don't have your quote unquote console wars within movies. Like you don't have your theater wars or whatever the fuck it would be. I don't even know what that would be.
It'd be so sassy.
Yeah. So the fact that there are these avenues that these people just like root themselves in, like the Game Awards is like it's just like an open trough for the pigs to feed. So, which kind of sucks because around that time of the year, you basically got to stay off the internet because it's just nothing but sass and vitriol.
Oh yeah,
across the board. So, and as an Xbox fan, it's like none of my games are gonna win. Why even watch? Yeah.
Time will tell, though.
Yeah, give it 4 or 5 years when all these start coming out.
Yeah.
Speaking of quick aside here about Starfield. Have you guys seen any like all the tidbits coming out about it?
In regards to what?
Just like they're dropping like little gameplay nuggets, and that they did that interview with Todd Howard.
Oh yeah.
Like some
and
of that
he was
stuff
like
sounds
specifying a few things so like people didn't get all ridiculous about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's setting himself up for like down the road criticism, because he did the same thing with Fallout 76, where he like overpromised and underdelivered.
Well,
and I really don't want that to be with Starfield.
To me, it didn't really feel like he was overpromising. I felt like he was more like pulling back on the reins a little bit to be like, you said this, but I'm saying this. Calm it down.
Yeah. And even when he would throw out something that's like tantalizing, he would kind of walk it back a little bit, be like, but
he wasn't like, this is revolutionary and has never been done before.
Yeah, but like the way he was talking about like how big the game is, and like how many just like, he's like, it's like the longest game we've ever made, and it's the biggest game we've ever made. And there's so many cities and so much things, and I'm just like, what is this game gonna be? You know what I mean? Like, I'm already like drooling about it.
It's Skyrim, but in space.
Basically, it's gonna be like
okay
5 Skyrims in space.
That's
fine. Cool.
That's fine.
Yep. Sorry, Chelsea. Never won't be able to.
That's okay.
Don't worry, you got your Bethesda apology. They apologize to all Sony fans that they don't get to play it.
Hey, I don't need an apology. When you just play on whatever system you play, you're gonna miss out on other cool games. So you just either buy that system or just move along.
Yeah, can you tell the internet that?
Yes, that is all to the internet.
I kind of get it. It's all silliness at the end of the day, but I kind of get it because it's not like PlayStation's like, God, like, we can't play Halo on PlayStation because you've never been able to play Halo on PlayStation, right? But
Right.
like, this has been a company that for bajillions of years you have been able to pick up these games wherever, and all of a sudden you're not going to be able to do that anymore. I think that's more where it was coming from.
Yeah,
but it is
I would.
all silliness. Like, just play what you're going to play. Calm
Yeah,
down.
I mean,
Life's not
I
fair.
would.
Yeah.
I would buy into that sentiment more if it was like they announced Elder Scrolls 6 as exclusive.
That one will be a bigger deal, I think, if that
Yeah,
ends up
like that-
happening. But for
I
Starfield, like, it's a new IP. It's a little safer.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
if it ends up bombing and is awful, do you think the PlayStation crowd's going to care after that? No.
Because my counter to that defense is Insomniac made Sunset Overdrive an Xbox exclusive, and then their next game was Spider-Man, a Sony exclusive. Mm-hmm. Well, as an Xbox fan, why the fuck didn't Spider-Man come to Xbox?
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
there was a whole lot of there's still a whole lot of stuff going on about
Yeah,
why can't we play
So-
Spider-Man on Xbox? But you know,
yeah.
sorry.
And so I mean, it goes both ways, and it's both stupid. You know, if you want to play that game, buy the fucking system and play
Yeah.
that game. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just
Simple as that.
thought it was really dumb that they felt compelled to come out and be like, "Oh, we're sorry, Sony fans, you don't get to play Starfield." But like, no, fuck Sony fans. If you're
I feel
buy
like that makes
goddamn-
it worse almost.
Well,
just like
yeah.
don't just move on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and it's, you know, well, if consoles weren't so hard to get right now, regardless, I think it would still be a different thing. But you know, there's people working there at Bethesda who don't have an Xbox. People who are working on this game and they're not really going to get to play it still. You know.
I mean, they're. I
They're
mean,
creating it.
Yeah. Well, that's not the same as enjoying it, though.
I wonder if Xbox bought them and they're like, "Hey, everyone gets an Xbox." It's like the Oprah.
Now-
you get an Xbox and you get an Xbox.
Maybe
You know.
that could have happened.
Also, I do think it's been easier to acquire Xbox, especially the S.
Yeah, Xboxes
Way
have
more.
been a lot easier the last few months.
Yeah,
but
way
PlayStation's
more than
still,
it has been for
still keeping up with
PS5s.
demand. Yeah.
Yeah, like basically as soon as like that queue goes live on the direct or whatever for Sony, it's
Oh
like
God.
go, you know, like those things are still impossible to come by. You know, and I don't foresee when Horizon Forbidden West comes out. You know, I don't think Guerrilla is going to issue an apology to me that I'm not going to be able to play it. So, you know what I mean?
To you specifically.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I thought the whole thing was completely unnecessary and very stupid.
Yeah.
So, let's try and segue out of that to something that's not unnecessary and stupid, and that's the new Loki show. Because it is totally necessary, and it's absolutely brilliant so far. So, I guess just jumping right into the newest episode, what are your guys' initial thoughts?
I love the fact that Loki is like kind of working for the TVA, but he's still trying to like hoodwink the people that work at the TVA in really small ways, and they're just like not having it. Like they know exactly who he is, and they don't care.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that it's still that like that phase 1 kind of Loki, where he's still trying to pull off a bunch of nonsense, and he still thinks that he's the smartest guy in the room, and that he's always ahead of everybody. You know, I've been enjoying that. I am enjoying Owen Wilson's character. Like, it's just Owen Wilson as Mobius has been perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
I like that. Yeah.
I don't really find anyone else in the show interesting, so it's a good thing that he basically can carry the show.
Yeah,
Or,
it's
like,
just
those-
him and
those-
Loki, and that's
like,
fine.
Yeah, yeah. Mobius and Loki are basically all you need, because all the other side characters are very much just like cardboard cutouts. That's like the only, I guess, negative I have, is I don't find anyone else interesting at all.
Well, for now, I don't think we're supposed to. But it is only episode 2 as well.
Exactly.
So.
Like, yeah, I'm definitely, like, it's the definition of a nitpick.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it's like in WandaVision, it's like, what side of Wanda and Vision? It's like, well, yes, that is correct, yes.
Yeah, but even early on in that, like, I really enjoyed the neighbor,
Agnes.
Agatha.
Oh,
Agnes.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just like a brand new side character introduced. Like, she was kind of like stealing scenes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of like what Owen Wilson is doing in this show. Like, he's like, him and Loki are like the perfect pairing, you know?
Got a nice little time buddy cop going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you guys think of like the reveal at the end? Full spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. Sorry.
Too bad.
This is
Get
called
over
a
it.
recap.
I mean, I kind of saw it coming. Sorry, but I did like this episode a lot better than the first one. I thought it was more enjoyable, and yeah, I like the characters more, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest.
I'm interested to find out exactly who she is. There's lots of theories, of course, going on. Is it like a variant, like daughter of Loki? Is it just a variant Loki where he happens to be a lady? You know, because like right before the show started, Marvel made that announcement, or like the MCU Marvel people made an announcement that like, yes, the MCU Loki is also a gender fluid person, where he will become whoever he wants to become kind of situation.
Right.
And I think because they made that specific announcement, it leads me to believe that this is Loki, but it's not like that Loki, you know?
Right. In terms of the new, Lady Loki, I guess,
Yeah.
you don't really get to see what her like overall grand plan is, but we kind of got the spark of it at the end, where she started dropping all the Nexus bombs or whatever they call it, the reset time. She started dropping them just all over the damn place.
That was pretty high energy. I was kind of panicking myself, going, "Oh my god, what's happening?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Oh my god!"
Yeah.
I just started just like completely destroying the sacred timeline and creating several splits. What do you guys, do you think that's just kind of like, how do you think it's going to pan out? Like big picture,
Oh my
big picture
gosh.
stuff. Like not just like Loki, but in like MCU big
Well,
picture. Do you think that's going to lead anywhere, or do you think it's going to be buttoned up by the end?
There's a theory going around right now. I heard yesterday, I think it was, and I'll give it some merits. There's some things I'm like, whoa, slow down there. But there is some people going on that believe that Kang the Conqueror is actually one of the
Timekeepers.
timekeepers.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
that the TVA is actually the city in the quantum realm that you can see in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Is it Ant-Man and the Wasp, or is it Ant-Man? I don't remember.
No, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it shows the subatomic
Because,
city.
you know, like, Mobius is like, well, like, time works differently here in the TVA. Nobody really knows, like, how long they've been here. There's a lot of things that kind of give that vibe. That like, is Kang one of the timekeepers? I don't know about that. Kang is typically a very pompous person who believes that he is the ruler of time himself. So him like working with other timekeepers, I don't know. But will we meet the timekeepers eventually, and will that question be answered? Oh, for sure. So time will tell on that theory.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't fully buy in that Kang's gonna be in this show at all. Because I feel like with all these, so far with these Marvel projects, like early on, everyone starts theorizing about big villain reveals
For
that
sure.
are gonna impact entire MCU, and it just never happens and never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just in that mindset where Loki's gonna be another one of those where early on our minds are gonna run wild with how this is gonna impact
Surely
the MCU.
not.
And by the time it ends, it's not going to impact the MCU at all. So,
Well, we do know that Loki's going to have a second season. We already know that.
yeah.
But we also know that Kang is coming. He's going to be in the next
Yeah, he's
Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, he's in
So-
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Is that what it is?
It is. That is what it's called.
Yeah.
Now, like all the time shenanigans that are happening in Loki, like specifically messing with the sacred timeline, and all the stuff that the Avengers did as well with the timeline. Kang could look at all that and be like, "What the hell y'all doing? Stop it!"
Yeah.
And he could come after whoever. But will Loki lead specifically into like the Kang stuff? Yeah, I don't think so.
The only theory that I had even before the show started, and this most recent episode kind of gave a little bit more fire into it, I guess, is that by the end of Loki, the TVA will either be like completely just so overall fucked that they just can't even manage time anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be so disrupted that they're going to be, like, not abolished, but just, like, overwhelmed. And I can see that having, like, being a catalyst that leads to other MCU projects being like, oh, yeah, well, it's because of this.
Well, there's that, and there's another theory that's saying that, like, the TVA doesn't really exist. Like, it's a patsy scheme where somebody's running it from behind the scenes, and they made up the timekeepers, but all the workers think that the timekeepers actually exist, kind of thing. But like, there's going to be that one person at the top that knows it's like they're just running a scam, kind of thing.
Right.
And
that's kind of what Loki's been talking about both episodes. He's like, you don't really buy into this shit, right? Bunch of lizard guys controlling time. Like, this seems like nonsense. Which also. Speaking of that, I feel like so far the writing in this show has been like, Loki as a character is very metaphorical, and I feel like Mobius is a very good counter to that, which leads to either extremely bad writing or can lead to really good writing, and I feel like it's more on the good writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so far they've done a good job of like counteracting Loki.
Yeah, but I just feel like they have there's some lines in this episode that are just like, damn, that's a really good line. Like that one where it's just like, existence is chaos and we're all just trying to find meaning or whatever. Like, that's like so like deep. I love that. And I feel like just like the writing in this show in general has just been just like top notch. Just the banter between Mobius and Loki has been, way better than the banter between Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I guess, they're fucking army grunts. Maybe you got to keep it simple. I don't know. I'm not trying to say anything. And then, WandaVision, it's a totally different thing because they're trying to emulate different eras of television. So the writing has to change and evolve with that. So that makes sense, But watching Loki, I'm just like, man, this has some really like some shit that you just want to like quote on your Instagram bio. You know what I mean? So yeah. So no, I'm thoroughly enjoying that. I don't know. It's hard to, like you guys said, we're still early on. This could go a million different directions. And it's probably not going to be, the cynic in me is probably not going to be the one I want. Because I haven't got that from either one of them yet. They all kind of just, I feel like they always start off with like these really high aspirations and then they kind of like get cold feet, and pull back a little bit. So I don't know why that is, because just because it's a TV show doesn't mean you can't have grander impacts that are a little bit more surface level. I don't know.
I feel like it's just because they had the job of setting up the movie, so they couldn't give away the what's the saying? They couldn't give away the whatever. I can't remember the word.
That's a.
I know, that was great. But they can't. They can't play all their cards because there's a
yeah. I know what you're saying.
But you feel like you're running to that end, and then the end's just like, well, light jog here.
Yeah, I just feel like
crap.
I feel like if I was like, all right, so let's say that you are, working in Marvel or whatever, and you're on the creative team for one of these TV shows, instead of a creative team for one of the movies, I feel like the TV shows have way more constraints and like boundaries and stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, because the movies are the things that they're actually trying to sell, and then the show is just the commercial for the movie.
Yeah, but I feel like hopefully once we enter phase 5 proper and these shows are still going, I kind of hope that they kind of like break the shackles on like the creatives for the TV and allow them to do more impactful stories.
Yeah, once they really like finish getting their feet wet with the shows, because like they want the shows to take place side by side with the movies, so that the movies, all the characters, they can just jump back and forth between the shows and the movies, and it's not an issue. I think once they really understand how they want that to work, I think it'll make a lot more sense, I think, and it'll be a little smoother. But, like with the entire MCU, this is the first time that that's happened, and these shows with the movies, it's the first time that this has happened. So, DC has it. They could have this so easy. They can copy what's happened. But the MCU is paving a whole new
we can't even bring up DC. Goddamn train wreck.
Well, the MCU tried to do it a while ago, because when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out, they really tried to like kind of hint that you had to watch the movies and like then you had to watch the TV show type thing, but then those completely like veered apart from each other, unfortunately.
And the issue with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, was because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. happens at a far greater pace than the movies does. So the tie-ins are just kind of like awkward. But the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is also one show, with one cast of people. And having it split into a whole bunch of shows now, like with the other, like what Disney Plus is doing, I think is a way better way to go with that.
I also feel like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in particular, and like Agent Carter and stuff like that, is expectations are way lower, being basically broadcast shows. And in terms of like, they're not really they're not there. They're there as like supplemental, as opposed to like, we want this to help propel our next tentpole film. But the Disney Plus shows are being sold to us, not sold, but like marketing to us as being that source to help propel the films. But I feel like since there are no films, and there haven't been, the shows aren't living up to that expectation as of right now. You know what I mean? Because we're not getting the other half of it yet. So, and I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, there was that thing. There's a thing that came out that was a while back, where Doctor Strange was supposed to be at the end of WandaVision, and then they decided to cut it. But like stuff like, I don't know, maybe it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like having something like that is maybe what I was expecting from these shows, to be a little bit more like 1-to-1, and I feel like maybe that's not what they intended them to be. Or maybe, you got to think about, COVID kind of threw everything off into a whack in terms of just production in general, but also like in terms of these projects being announced and being developed and being written and all this other stuff, and then also the Fox deal going down with Marvel, and then all that getting thrown into the fold. I feel like they themselves don't really have that great of a plan in place for how 4 and 5 kind of work with one another, as much as they did with how the Infinity Saga was going to play out, if that makes sense.
Well, Feige's been talking for forever about leaving 4 open, very open, so that the characters have room to breathe, and like they're not setting up an Avengers level thing for a long time, which is a great choice.
And I don't need an Avengers setup, but I I guess what I'm getting at is I still don't fully understand why these shows exist if they aren't helping to like
connect everything
connect it. Yeah, exactly. Like so far, if you just get just like super cut and dry, WandaVision gave us the idea that you can call her Scarlet Witch and she got her true powers.
And her kids.
And her kids. And then
maybe.
Yeah, even that's, I guess that's kind of...
No, the kids will...
TBD.
They'll be back. They're going to be in the movie.
I got to look at that, those actors' contracts.
Oh, those 8-year-olds' contracts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then and Falcon and Winter Soldier gave us the new Captain America. Which, both of those, like, that's cool. But, I don't know. Both of those things could have easily been done in the films. Why did I have a show to... Like, I don't know. I guess my expectations of how well phases, like, the Infinity Saga kind of, like, weaved everything together. Mm-hmm. And then how we don't have that, like, so apparent weave right now is, like, it's giving me, like, pause and giving me, like, anxiety. You know what I mean?
I think for these two specifically, the first two shows specifically, I think there was just a lot of fallout that needed to happen. Like, for Wanda, it was emotional fallout. She'd been through so much in the last, like, 3 or 4 movies. And they didn't, like, just to have that left after Endgame. And then, like, here, we'll skip over to Doctor Strange 2, and she's lost her marbles. She's exploring and opening portals to the multiverse. She's chasing down spirits of her killed children, basically. Like, what? Like, what really happened to Vision after Endgame? Like, there's so many, like, emotional questions and phases that Wanda needed to go through before her character could really be used again. And then just the basic Captain America fallout for Winter Soldier and the Falcon, they needed a place to put their feet for the next movie that had anything to do with them.
Right. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, like, these shows, I think are more specifically about the character development and themselves. They're like mini movies, and I think, like, when we saw at the beginning, like, how, like, all the Avengers movies and how they all came together, they were characters that, if anybody is a fan of the comics or any of those characters, you kind of know, like, oh, these are, like, we're setting up these characters, of course they're going to come together, and, like, that was, like, in a way kind of expected, and maybe it's on purpose that, we don't really know how they're tying in, and they want us to feel like that too, to, like, kind of question and guess, and then it will actually come together at the end.
Yeah, I mean, everything you guys are saying it makes sense, because it's like these are those quieter moments that give these side characters purpose, and fleshing them out as more than just, like, your sidekicks. It's just, I'm so used to the MCU in terms of just, like, its grandiose arcs, that now that hasn't been prevalent in my life for, like, 3 years.
Yeah, it's definitely left a hole. That's true.
And it still won't, because there's really nothing in Phase 4 that's gonna, like, there's a lot of ends and a lot of beginnings,
Well, Spider-Man 3 is because I think Spider-Man 2 was kind of Spider-Man 2 was kind of an ending. So Spider-Man 3, I think, will be a different thing.
Kind of. And a beginning.
For sure, yeah.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah, exactly. I have to have a wait and see for the new Spider-Man film, because I feel like the theories have run so fucking rampant that I don't even remember what's actually real anymore.
Yeah, they're like, people are talking so much about having the other Spider-Man in it and all this other stuff, and I'm like, do you not remember that this child is on the freaking run internationally as a murderer? He is a child. Like, I think that bringing in 75 other characters from different movies, kind of overshadows this trauma that's going on in Peter Parker's life right now.
Yeah. And also, I feel like the Marvel itself isn't doing itself any favors by casting people that have existed in other eras.
Yeah, because it's creating
because
this
it's
huge
fucking
veil
confusing.
of like, oh god, what's gonna happen? Oh.
And I can't. It's hard to parse if it's just them trolling us because they want us to conceive all these multiverse theories, just like everyone did with WandaVision, and then none of that shit panned out, and it was incredibly like. It like tarnished the show for me because I had all these expectations just based on where rumors were coming from. Like if it's just some like random whatever on the fucking internet, be like, oh, this is gonna happen. It's like, yeah, whatever. But when your cast is saying this is gonna happen and then it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like that's different. That cuts deep.
Yeah, and something that people need to really keep in mind as we go through like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, because that's where all this like drama is right now, is that a whole bunch of these like question mark castings have been for Doctor Strange and not for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I bet there's going to be a 5-minute scene in Doctor Strange where he's flying through multiverse portals and you're going to like see the character as he's flying through. Like they're going to be like
be
small
something
cameos,
like that.
And it's not going to be like
something
huge
like
like story related nonsense. Because why would like the other two Spider-Men have been casted into that movie? Well, why does Doctor Strange need two multiversal Spider-Men?
I mean, why do we need... What, isn't Tobey Maguire like in his 50s? Why do I need a 50-year-old Spider-Man?
I don't think he's that old. But
So, I don't know. I just... Every time I even see anything pop up, rumor or otherwise, about No Way Home or Multiverse of Madness, I'm just like, oh my god.
like, go home.
Stop. Yes, please stop.
Now, like...
Damn it.
Because like all the villains, a bunch of the villains have been casted in actual Spider-Man. Now, like if they're gonna use like all this multiverse stuff that Wanda has broken out, are they gonna use this to like throw together a Sinister Six, like a multiversal Sinister Six? That's okay. But like
I can't think of these things.
like I would be more okay with that because as a viewer we have experience with that Dr. Octopus. We have experience with that Electro, you know, so like we already have some kind of relationship with those characters. And Peter doesn't have to have a relationship with all of them outside the fact that they're trying to kill him. Right. So, you know, he'll have people like because, you know, like Michael Keaton's character, oh my gosh, the Vulture. He'll probably be in that, you know. So he'll have characters who he like actually has dealt with before, but because, you know, like the multiverse stuff is going to start in Spider-Man and it'll be wrapped up probably in Doctor Strange. So if they're going to use that to their advantage in Spider-Man just to kind of like help with the villain stuff, okay. Like that's fine. That's whatever.
I don't know.
Have some fun with it, I guess, if you must.
I was gonna say, you know, it's also just the huge theory that that's how they're going to like haphazardly throw Fox properties into everything.
People keep saying that, but I ignore that because Feige said that like the mutants and the Fantastic Four, they're coming when he wants them to, and not to expect them anytime soon.
I was gonna say Fantastic Four was like announced as like the last in the slate for Phase 5.
Yeah,
so
like he and especially with the mutants, because like how are you going to explain an entire subspecies of people being there? Yeah. You know, he said that he will
could have with WandaVision.
Well, you could have, but it's like Ethan said, it's just kind of a clumsy way to snap your fingers and poof, they're there. Yeah. He said that he has a way that he wants to do it, and it'll happen when it does, and to slow your roll.
Now, forgive my Marvel ignorance here, but is Miss Marvel a mutant?
No, she's an Inhuman.
Mm-mm.
Right. Okay, I get those confused.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same thing.
But now, I'll don't be saying that to everybody.
No, they're different.
There's all
They
sorts
have
of
abilities,
nonsense stuff there.
sure.
Now we'll get Miss Marvel. I think is it after Eternals?
I can't.
And it's Miss
remember.
Marvel's. Yeah. Well, are you talking about the movie or
no,
the
the
show?
show.
I'm talking about the show.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I don't care about that movie.
the Eternals could be used to explain mutants and Inhumans because they have ties, evolutionary wise. They have ties to them all. The Eternals do. So they could use that to help like lay the foundation for those things.
Yeah.
But like, are they going to keep Miss Marvel as an Inhuman? I don't know. They probably should, but can they not? I guess they could.
Because that one, it kind of comes out of nowhere, because a lot of these TV shows are very much, like you said, is like already fleshing out established characters.
Mm-hmm.
She's not established, so it's essentially a brand, a whole new character you're throwing into the fold with a completely different background and origin than most of what we've gotten before. So that's going to be interesting how that's handled, if it is going to have any sort of grander purpose. Because the other shows that we're getting, we got Hawkeye this year, I'm pretty sure is this year.
Yeah.
Which okay.
That's pretty ground level, so they're not going to be doing a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks for listening today. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast so you don't miss out on the next episode. And we'd appreciate it if you would take a minute to write us a review. Leave us 5 stars and tell us your favorite game, film, or TV show in the review, and maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pod Demastered. Thanks for listening, and we hope you tune in next week. And that's a wrap.